Welcome to the Encore Audio Archives YouTube channel. I'm Taper Dave, and this is my channel. I've uploaded hundreds of talks here that I've recorded at meetings in West LA, and I've also recorded conventions starting in 2013. I've got a bunch of those up. And Walt and Mary Murray, the original owners of Encore Audio Archives, started the company in the 80s, and Walt recorded Joe and Charlie's and a bunch of stuff down in Vista, California. My sobriety date is June 20th of 1994. I hope you find something you like, so please like and subscribe to my channel and comment down below. If you want to hear something that I don't have or that you don't see, I'll see that I get it. Anyways, take care and have a great day if you want to.
Okay, hi, I'm Bridget. Hi, Bridget. Kind of loud. All right. Today, I do this differently than I did when I first came into program. When I first came into program, the way I presented myself when I felt strongly about something was, well, I've done a few things like pull hair, take a punch. That wasn't me. I don't know what happened when I was doing that, but that was one way that, that I got my point across and that I let people know what I was thinking. I wasn't proud of that. That was probably one of my low points before I came into program. And, you know, I used to think that things were pretty much black and white. And today I know there's a lot of gray. As a matter of fact, there's more gray than there is black and white. And I do know that people have different opinions on things, and I don't always agree with them. I came from a family, a military family, and things were black and white. And you did what the commander-in-chief said. And I think that's where I got a lot of that from, you know, because now I'm not in his home, but now I'm the commander-in-chief, or so I thought. And things are black, were black or white. And that's kind of that's a hard place to be. It's a painful place to be because I spent a lot of time correcting you in my head if I wasn't doing it physically. Coming into Al-Anon, I learned that a lot of my thinking could be changed, and it was okay if it was changed. And my dad wasn't over there behind the other door, you know, going to correct me the minute I did something different. I had a lot of fears about that for a while. I don't know why, but I did. I learned that I have the power to make the changes in me, and in making those changes in me, it made it a lot more pleasant for everybody else. I didn't have to be so firm about everything. Right now, I'm going through something that, and I have a strong opinion about it. You know, it's drug and alcohol addiction that, you know, I have a strong opinion about that. I have strong feelings about that. And, but I've learned to communicate with people differently. I've learned to communicate with the alcoholic differently about that. I've got, you know, I've got about 12 years in program, and life continues. And there are people in my life that I worry about, and I don't have to worry about correcting them and changing them the way I used to. I can now, you know, when I have a good idea, I call my sponsor first because I've learned, I've done it the opposite way. I've taken my action first and then called my sponsor, and things don't always turn out so well when I do that. But you know, I called my sponsor and talked to her about, okay, you know, I need to not confront somebody, but I need to talk to somebody about something that they're doing, and I'm not very happy about it. And she and I had a good conversation about it. It changed my thinking from that black and white, because I went back to the black and white again. I went back to, you know, you're doing this, you need to get out, you need to, you know, I wanted to lay down all the rules for him. And that's really not who I want to be anymore. I know what I want in my life, but I can present it differently. So I get to say, you know, I'm scared. Your behavior is scaring me, and I'm uncomfortable. I'm scared for me, I'm scared for my family, I'm scared for you. And that's a better way to put it, I feel, because I'm not pointing the finger. I'm merely stating what my feelings are about the situation, and that is huge for me today, because what I want to do is call them up and say, you know, what the blank do you think you're doing? How could you do this? What are you thinking? Get into program. You know, I have all the answers for him, of course. I usually do. And today I know, you know, that's his journey, and my journey is to be the person that I want to be. And the person that I want to be is somebody who is kind and loving, whether they're drinking or not. I don't have to live with it. I don't have to like it. I don't have to be controlled by it. And I think I've allowed myself at times to be controlled by it, and I don't want to do that anymore. People in program give me strength. Everybody's experienced strength and hope is what gives me my strength in program. And I know that I want to be here. It's not that I have to be here. I've said that before. I've said, you know, I gotta be here. I gotta keep coming back. Well, I don't have to do anything. I'm choosing to come back. And this morning I didn't feel like coming here, but something told me I think I was being lazy. You know, I'm tired, getting ready to go on vacation, and you know, I have plans. I have things I got to do, you guys. I can't be here. But something in me said, you need to go. And so here I am, sharing the morning with all of you. I showed up out front, and the desk wasn't open to give me my badge. And so my head went right to, you guys, is it Al-Anon or AA on this desk? And why isn't somebody here? And on and on and on. And then somebody said, well, had you come yesterday, you know, you would have your badge. I didn't think about that. I didn't come yesterday, I just came this morning, but here I am. I have 4 kids, and each one of them has been definitely affected by the disease, some more than others. They're all aware of program, but none have chosen to come yet. I have really, in the past, solicited Al-Anon quite a bit because I feel strongly about it. And I know that that doesn't work, so I just live it. Now I've got a couple that are asking me a little more about program. Will they come? I don't know. They're not here today, but I do believe that at some point they will find the rooms, and that I no longer have to do that hard sell with them, or the bargaining, because I did that too. I bargained. If you go to so many Al-Anon meetings, then yes, you can go to England, or you can do this or do that. I did a little bit of that, but I don't do that anymore. It's in the way I live, and I think that that's the biggest attractor to others, is in the way that I live and not in the sales pitch. I have a son who just recently was working one-on-one with an alcoholic, and he's young. He's only 22 and didn't know how to handle the situation. He called me from his job, and he was living with him in another state, and he called me from his job, and he was really, you could tell he was seriously affected by it. And he said, Mom, I don't know what to do. This is what's happening, and I don't know what to do. He said, I feel like there's evil in this house, and I feel that I'm going crazy. And I said, well, you know, where are you right now? And he said, well, I just took him to an AA meeting, and I'm across the street from an Al-Anon meeting. And I said, well, hang up and go in. Now, and he did that, but the problem was it was a Spanish-speaking meeting, and he didn't quite get it all. I'm hoping that he'll go to an English-speaking meeting at some point, but bottom line is he knows where to go, and I don't have to keep reminding him. I can invite him, but I don't have to keep reminding him. Also, we have, in my opinion, there is a meeting that I go to that is extra special, and I've tried the hard sell with many people to get them to come to that meeting, and that doesn't work either, that I found out. But, you know, that's okay. The people who need to be there are the ones who are there. The people who want to be there are the ones who are there. And mainly, that's me. I feel like I have a whole nother family. I have family members right now, extended family members who are asking me about program, and I wasn't sure exactly why, but things are coming to light. I can see why, and I only hope that they too can find what I have found here in program. I have found a different way to live, not in your life, but in my own, and that's key for me because, you know, I want to be in your life so I can help you out because I got all these good ideas. And there, some of my ideas, you know, come on pretty strong and passionate, and I've learned how to dial that back a little bit and let others have their opinion. And I've also witnessed in program other people allowing me to have my opinion, and they may not agree with it. And that's huge because I didn't have that growing up. I wasn't allowed to have my own opinion. You know, I had to have the same as the commander-in-chief. And he's gone now, so Dad, I got my own opinion. Some of them may be the same as yours and some may not, but I'm okay with that. My heart has really opened up here. I found a joy in life that I didn't have before. And you guys tell me it's okay to do this. I have a lot of changes going on in my life. And I want to pack up and go. But I can't leave you guys. Because I know this is where I get my growth and my strength. And I know this is only today that I feel sad. And in an hour I'll be happy again. Because I have a lot of good things going on in my life. I have a son who just left, my last son just left for college, and I'm afraid for him. And he's doing well. There's no indication that anything else other than good things are going to happen. But I still am afraid for him because I know the situation. You know, I know the college situation, and it scares me. And I have to have faith that that he's going to do the right thing and that he'll be okay. And I'm hoping that that even if he doesn't do the right thing, that I'm still going to be okay. And I know he's had a lot of good influence. He's had a lot of preparation for this. He's in a good place, and maybe I just kind of miss him. And I think that might be what it is. That's part of my fear, is I'm going to miss him, and I do. I'm sure my time isn't up, but I am done. And I want to end by saying that program has given me the opportunity to walk through my fears and to present myself differently today. I don't have to shut people out of my life. I don't have to shake my finger in their face. I don't have to pull their hair or punch them. And I don't have to tell them everything that I'm thinking about what they're doing. I can allow them the dignity to do what they're doing. And I can hold myself back long enough to realize that people are allowing me the dignity to do what I'm doing, whether they agree with it or not. So thank you for letting me share, and keep coming back.
We will now have Liz G. from Ventura.
Good morning. My name's Liz. And how long do I have? 20 minutes? Okay. I'm tired. So how do I present myself when I feel strongly about something? When I heard it was at 8:30 to be here, I'm like, I was going to wear pajamas. I was going to wear my slippers. So, depending on what it is, I guess, the situation, sometimes, I guess what I've learned, well, actually I asked a dear friend, I said, you've known me for a long time, and how have I presented myself? And she goes, with anger. And I'm like, and I'm most certainly, when I got here to this program, I was pissed. I'm the oldest of 5 siblings growing up in the disease of alcoholism with 2 parents. One in my early childhood was my father, who was the alcoholic, and then later it got to be my mother. So when I think about this topic, I'm reminded of the voice that I didn't have growing up. I learned to not have an opinion, not make waves, don't speak because they're going to get pissed off, or whatever. And then when I brought that into my adult life, it was like, continue to do that because you're not smart enough, you don't really know, and I don't want to sound stupid. So, and if I felt strongly about something, that means that I would have an opinion about something. So I didn't really do that. I kept everything to myself. So when I've had the opportunity to, most recently, the question I asked myself so that I could share with you today is, because I've learned so much since being in Al-Anon for the last 14 years, the process of learning to voice and be with those alcoholics that I love, that are still have been in the disease, and how do I present myself, especially when I'm like, they're in my head, in my heart, I'm like, they're dying. How do I present myself and be there and love them when I know what the end result is going to be? I don't really know, but I see the physical aspects of what it's doing. And you showed me that it was possible that I could love them to the end. But that wasn't the case when I got here. The other aspect of not knowing how to be totally honest or have an opinion, I was so vague. You know, if I stayed vague enough, I don't really have to really say what I want. Or if I don't really know anything about me, then then I don't really have to I guess, respond in a way that, like, I know what I really want. So I've learned how to ask for some help, for one, and be a lot more clearer with that. Having my brother, he's one more time, he was sharing with me that he has the big book that I gave him about probably 12 or 13 years ago. And I was reading what I had written in it, and one of, I invited, because you told me that I can invite them to these events. So I always I forget at the moment, but I remembered finally, and I called him back and I said, there's this convention, blah, 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 and one more time I got disappointed though, because it's funny, I didn't think I had an expectation, but I'm like, and what I wanted to say to him, but what I didn't say to him, and what I said to you, and what I got to share was, do you want to live or do you want to die? So in that turn, I turn that on me also. Do I want to live or do I want to die? Because that's what this program has helped me, move on from not having the voice to learning to be open and share with you. I wasn't going to be here this weekend, and I'm here for the whole weekend. Staying in this room with program people and being of service with Alateen, and listening to Alateen and seeing how they want what we have. They're opening up to the degree that I never did. I didn't have that opportunity. So today, it's like, wow, that not being vague for me is by doing those steps and looking at that fear, the fear that keeps me from being who I truly am. Because it's really fear-based. It's all that fear-based that I don't speak up. I have lots of opportunities, and I don't do it gracefully. So I get to, it's like, oh, I did say it, but I said it like, ugh. Maybe I could have said it a little nicer and not so mean or something, or sharp, Yeah, I guess and really I don't even. When a friend told me that, with anger, I'm like, God, I didn't even recognize that anger, I guess, because it's something that's just been there. And I always question, well, if somebody thinks they're right, well, I like to question, well, how do you know? Even though I didn't know, I still want to know, how do you know? That's like, okay, with that vague, and I guess besides that vagueness, and I was once told that it's, being shy is just fear, and it's like, and it's interesting that this is something I'm talking about, because consciously this is something I want to, like, I don't want to stay stuck here anymore. I kind of, I was thinking of, I dance. I do free-form dance, and I've been doing that for about 6 years. And I found a place. There's places in the community where you can dance and it's alcohol and smoke free. So I found this place called Dance Jam, and I'm like, how do you dance just by yourself, or with somebody else? And some people were dancing very provocative, and just like, how do you do that? You don't even know these people. You're dancing with them, and I'm one of those people now. And so I kind of, it's allowing that freedom to just be who you are. It's almost a lot easier to be, I can talk to you on the dance floor with my body, but when it gets to the place of being, that face-to-face, sometimes that seems a little bit harder or challenge. It's intimacy. It's very intimate, and I guess. And I guess that's my fear. What will you think of me if I really tell you how I really feel about something that you disagree with, like I think what was read, It's like, so I've taken those risks. The one thing I think sometimes I don't even have to say anything about is the fact of, how I hurt when our families are affected by the disease of alcoholism. There's that deep inside, I don't have to I don't whine about it anymore like I used to, why don't, I just whine. And now there's times where I just sit with it and you just know. Or if you're sitting there and it's like, I know. It doesn't really have to be expressed in words at times. Also, I guess I have to, sometimes I wonder how important is it when I feel strongly about something. We were talking about this last night, actually. How important is it if I feel really strongly about something that, when I think about that, I'm like, God, where's that conversation going to go? Is it going to be, is it a fruitful conversation or not? Is it, so I try to kind of be just honest with myself about that. Or, sometimes I'm like, I don't have time for this. It's like, I just don't have time for that, if it gets out of hand. One little thing I wrote here. So I took a couple of notes because I was like, I'm not sure exactly where this is going to go. It's all over the board. It's a quote: "Mask uncomfortable situations with words and action I thought would promote harmony." So I would try, if I'm saying the right things at the right time, it's going to go smoothly. So don't say the truth. Don't speak up. I was the oldest that kept quiet, and I have a sibling that's younger than me, and I can remember her getting in my father's face, and I remember, I can still visualize me watching that. I'm like, God, how does she do that? And she's very, she's affected by the disease of what we grew up in, but that wasn't me. That just wasn't me today, or then. And so today, looking in the mirror, because it starts here with me. How do I present myself, to me? It's like, God, look, when I look in the mirror, or or when I realize, when I hear you in recovery and wanting to grow, where is it that I want to grow? And it always comes back to me. How do I present myself to me? Because when I came into this program, I can remember feeling that true essence of what Al-Anon is finding your heart, loving yourself. And it's like, God, I had never done that before. How do I, love myself? So, wow, okay, I've gone 5 minutes, or 15, okay, thank you. But loving myself has been the gift. And taking it to our families. I think if I get anything real from this program is about, besides you being a family unit here, taking it to those that are still suffering. And yet I can still take care of myself. Even though I'm like, one more time I got like, I had an expectation of, my brother or even my sister coming over, maybe coming to the convention, and I'm like, but I get to come and be with you. I know I need to be here, and I be of service with the Alateens. So love. I like to present myself with love to you. So thanks very much.
And we welcome Wanda from Ventura.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Wanda, and I'm a grateful member of Al-Anon, and I'm happy to see you. The topic is, how do I present myself when I feel strongly about something? And pre-Al-Anon, my favorite words were, you. You did this, you hurt me, I'm a victim. And I went into great detail to let you know all the things that you did wrong.
Sorry to interrupt your viewing. Taper Dave here. Just wanted to take a second to ask you to like and subscribe to my channel. Let me know if you like what you're listening. I've got some very good talks here, and this one's a great one. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Tell me what you think.
My first marriage was 26 years of torture for him and for my children. And honestly, I felt strongly about everything. I reacted strongly to everything. And my poor husband, I'd follow Mike into the rooms. I was obsessed, enraged, and then my poor frightened children would have to observe Mother, the mad lady, the victim, with you statements, you, and blame, and I thought of all the things that you did wrong, and I was convinced you were doing them to me. It was highly personal, and I was violated all the time. I would say that some of the people years ago at Camarillo State Hospital were calmer than I was in those days. It was horrific. I used to think if there wasn't any alcohol in the home, then everything would be fine there. But that is not the case. Al-Anon is needed, and in many doses, in order to go to the rest of the way and have some kind of harmony in your home. Since Al-Anon, post-Al-Anon, I learned a new word, which was I. I feel, I think, my opinion is. I also learned it's important to treat others with respect and with courtesy, and that they have a right to their opinions, their feelings. I learned that God really had control of the outcomes, not me. I learned that my sponsor, I would call her, and she would say things like, everything's going to be okay. And so that gave me a feeling of peace. And she's always said that, everything's going to be okay. I love you. And so I would calm down. And so I think for the first time in my life, I started to breathe a little bit when I got into Al-Anon. I really had never breathed in my life until I came into these rooms. So for me, what has happened since coming into Al-Anon, through my sponsor and through the meetings, one, I've started to breathe. Two, I've started to believe that God's going to take care of things and I'm not in charge. And like my sponsor says, it's going to be okay. So, you know, that's been a big help, that I'm not in control and that it's not up to me anymore. And that has been very, very helpful to me. So what is going on with me today is, before I'm going to present how I feel strongly about something, I think about it for quite a long time. And then I project. I project all of the the obstacles that might be in the way and what possibilities of outcomes may come when I speak strongly. Unfortunately for me, my conscience at times dictates that I do have to express some strong feelings. And so I take it seriously, and I care about the other people involved, and I don't want to hurt or talk down to or harm anybody. So I tend to be very cautious about it. And to be honest with you, I'm a people pleaser, so I want you to like me. I don't want to say anything to you that is controversial or that may get you mad at me, because I'm pretty desperate to have you like me. So I don't speak up strongly about something unless my conscience nudges me to the point where I really have to do it, or I won't be able to sleep at night with put my head down on the pillow. So it's something that I really have to consider. Most of the time, I try to compromise with folks. Fortunately, since I've been in Al-Anon, I've been able to let go of an awful lot. I'm not as attached to things. It's my life is just, I've been able to let go of a lot more things. So that's been really good. I try to see what I can compromise on, and I certainly count the cost of the decision. And today, my first husband used to say to me, Wanda, you don't listen. Today, I try to listen. That's different since I've been in Al-Anon. Try to listen to what other people have to say. I try to care about how they feel. And again, I don't want to damage, harm, or hurt anybody, so I try to take it seriously. I would like to share one of the situations that I felt strongly about and took action on, and it's with my probably the biggest qualifier in my life, which was my mother. My mother was an alcoholic, and every single day of my life, my mother drank. And she never, ever had a sober day in my lifetime. And when she died, I wasn't particularly young. And so through the years, there were some situations, abusive situations, where I felt very violated, and they were powerful in impact in my life. And I had gone through a lot of therapy and a lot of counseling, and I came to the point where I felt strongly that I wanted to share these incidences with my mother. And so, because I felt strongly about it, they were powerful in my life. So I wrote about them, and I anticipated speaking to my mother about it, and I was very emotional. And that's another thing why I don't like to come forward and speak strongly about things, because I can get very emotional. In this situation, she was one of the most dynamic, powerful people in my life. And so I knew I was going to be emotional. So I wrote everything down, and I felt I had to read it, and I felt I had to stay focused to get it out, because I felt like if I would get into it with her, and I'd start crying, and I'd be too emotional, and I wouldn't be able to go through. And I knew, given my mother's personality, that I would probably never get an opportunity again to speak to her regarding personal issues. So I prayed a lot. I wrote the pages. I arranged the time to meet with her, and I read them to her. And I got through, and I had to focus, and I had to pray, and I was emotional. And I will tell you that I went from a little girl that day to an adult. It was the most amazing experience. I've only had one other experience like that, and that was when I did a 4th step with a sponsor. And I went from that frightened little girl who was abused by her mother to an adult. And I didn't say it mean, I didn't say it hard, I just said it. And the relief that came to me, it was just, there aren't words to express it, but for those of you who've done a 4th step, it was certainly similar to that, and was great relief. I was very glad I did that. I really had to plan and prepare and pray for that. My mother denied everything. I anticipated that. And it was okay, because that expressing those strong feelings, that was for me. And I'm forever grateful for that particular experience. So that was in 1992 or 93. And my mother passed in 1994, and I was very grateful that I had done that, because with her passing, I felt finished. It was like we had closure. There was closure for me, and so that was one of the times I was grateful about expressing my feelings, my strong feelings. So that changed my life that day, and then I had another situation with 2 husbands where I had to express strong feelings, and that came after years, in both cases, years of thought, years of prayer, years of counsel, and asking for separations from both of my husbands, and their reactions to that were very difficult for me and for my children. And you know, in retrospect, again, I think the quality of my life improved, and so I think at the time those were the right decisions. They're very difficult to express strong feelings, I have found. I've had a couple of occasions at work with my bosses that I was in a corner. I had a best friend at work, and the top boss didn't like her, in fact, fired her. And I was in a position of, did I deny my friendship? I was questioned about something regarding her, and would I disclose that she was my good friend or not, and bow down to protect myself. I had another occasion with a big boss who wanted me to do something, 2 different occasions, and I didn't, again, my conscience kicked in, and they weren't, in integrity, I couldn't do them. So I had to say I was uncomfortable. And again, the fear of being fired, all of those things. So, you know, for me to express, again, my feelings strongly, my conscience has to kick in, because otherwise I will avoid, you know, any kind of possible conflict, because I want you to, you know, love me or whatever. Last year, I had to tell my daughter something that I felt strongly about, and the result was she hung up on me and didn't speak to me for months. So, you know, it takes some courage sometimes to express what you feel strongly about. And so far in all these situations, I'm telling you, I don't regret them at this point in my life. In 07, 08, I had a very big experience where I work. The woman that worked immediately below me is married to a very powerful political person in Ventura County. And she was treating her husband is the person, she was working with me, and she treated all those below us badly. And so the different clerks and the people in the building would come to me and say, Wanda, you know, man, she's doing this, she's doing that, and they felt quite abused and quite disrespected. And so I had to go to prayer and say, you know, I certainly didn't want to take her on because I figured there would be repercussions for me. I didn't know quite how bad they could be. So ultimately, again, my conscience and the Lord, and I had to stand up for the people that were being abused, and she promptly went to the big boss. I got demoted. I got moved from one building to another. I lost income and I lost benefits. And today, I don't regret that one either. So I think when you feel strongly about things, if you've searched your heart, if you've asked God, if you've prayed, if you've done all you can do, and you know the Lord is telling you to stand, then I recommend that you stand, because some of these might cost you, but in the long run, I think the quality of your life and who you become is the most important. So I recommend when you feel strongly about something. And this woman, she came to me and she said, hey, Wanda, I've never done anything to you. What's the problem? And I remember when she was standing at my door, when she asked me, I thought, you know, what would I want someone to do with me? And I clearly thought that, and I thought, well, you know, I need to tell her the truth, but I need to tell it in kindness, and I need to tell it in a respectful way, which I felt I did. She, of course, her response was what I told you earlier. Most of the time at work, I can let things go for the most part. I find in my personal relationships with my family, I'm a lot more emotionally invested, and so I seem to be much more emotional. At work, I've adopted a motto, which is, when we get up from the table, you win and I win. I seem to be more fluid at work as far as compromise goes. I'm not as bumpy as I am in the personal relationships. Where I work, I'm the leader of a program, and so we have meetings. And when we have these meetings, what happens is, before we leave, it's sort of a consensus thing. Everybody gives their opinion. Everybody expresses how they feel before we leave, and of course they can do that throughout the meeting. But at home with my granddaughters and my grandson and my daughter and everything else, I have a harder time. I have to hold myself back in a lot of situations and really think through. But Al-Anon and the 12 spiritual principles of this program have given me the ability to breathe, to call my sponsor, to start to learn to love myself. I really appreciated that when Liz brought that point out. This is the first time, because, you know, growing up in an alcoholic home, we don't learn to love ourselves. And I've even thought about, you know, daily maybe putting my arms around myself, you know, and telling, hey, you know, you're okay. You know, God loves you, and you're worth love, and you're worth loving others, and, you know, and that's what I've been able to get here. The other thing I've been able to get here is I look out at you. It is an honor and a privilege for me to see and know each and every one of you, because you've lived the life I've lived. You are survivors, and you are conquerors, and you are soldiers, and you continue to work at improving yourself and your families and being the very best person you can be, and to take the effort to come to meetings, to reach out, to be of service, and to do all the things that you're doing. So I'm happy when I see you, and that's the reason I'm happy to see you. I'd like to end with one of the last points. I think the art of persuasion, or presenting our ideas to people, it's an art, and I think very few people have that. And I'm convinced that we cannot persuade or present our strong opinions to other people and have them listen or value or grab the vision we're trying to cast unless we're truly living these 12 spiritual principles here. I think what talks to people is not so much our words, but our character. And I think out of that, people notice whether we're sincere or just what is really going on with us. So I want to thank you for your journeys. I want to thank you for sharing with me and smiling at me and letting me be here, and my sponsor's in the audience, and I would like to give her a very personal thank you for her patience and all of the love and the investment she's made in me, because all of you and she have made a big difference. Thank you.
I think we got a great talk going on here. Thanks for watching the channel. Taper Dave here. Just curious, do you think this is better than Zoom? Okay, this is how I prepare my drone for launching. I like to do it inside the cab of my truck so I'm not standing outside in the weather. To install the joysticks for control, up and down, right and left, powered on. I have an Android phone that I use to connect it to the drone with. And it's actually controlled through the iPhone, through an app. Oops, wrong way. It's actually controlled through the iPhone, or through this Android phone, through the app. It's actually controlled through the Android phone, through an app, and you connect it through this short connection right here.
Remote control connected.
Remote control's connected. So I pull out the drone. I have to extend the legs. Long legs extended first, then the short legs. Remove the gimbal protector. Set that aside, then power it on one short burst, then one long burst. I lay it down. So I have to go to calibrate. So the drone's not connected yet. It shows you here as this drone gets disconnected, even though the remote's powered on. So the drone has to establish it's connected. So I go into the app to calibration mode. First I'll calibrate the remote controller. Start calibration. Out, in, oop, out, in, up, down, and then this little wheel is to control the gimbal. So it's calibrated. Go to gimbal calibration, start calibration, and then it calibrates the gimbal. I don't know if that shows up. The gimbal's moving all over the place. Changes, you can see it on the video. And I'm calibrated to take off. It's acquired 7 satellites at the moment. There are 26 satellites up in the sky, which it has to acquire before you can take off. So it's connected. It's got enough satellites. This is white. I can go to press this little arrow button, swipe right to take off, and it would start the motors if I slid this to the right. But I'll wait till I get outside. Don't want to do it inside.